My name is Robert Scott. I'm the founder of Robert Scott & Associates, a financial services firm based in Brentwood, Tennessee. Today you're going to learn about the three biggest risks we all face in saving for retirement and what you can do about it. We hope you enjoy the presentation. So today we're going to talk about the new rules of saving for retirement. In our case studies, we're going to share a story about Russ and Katie and the new rules versus the old rules of retirement. So meet Russ. Russ is real, though this isn't his real photo. He's 67 and last year retired after 30 years with one company. He's having a great retirement. He fishes, volunteers at the library, and calls his kids 6 times a day just to check in. Now he has a pension from Dow, he draws Social Security, and he uses his 401k to fund his travel and all of his hobbies. Now this is Russ's daughter Katie, not a real photo. She's 42 and works for a healthcare company in marketing. She has a 401k, but since 2008, her company stopped matching her contributions. Although she has several years until retirement, she's feeling cautious but optimistic. Retirement's going to look a whole lot different for Katie, though, than it did for Russ. Let's take a quick look at why. So first, let's talk about the new rules of retirement savings. First, I'm going to tell you about the 3 big risks you face when saving for the future. Second, I'll share an approach that can help you overcome these risks. And finally, I'll tell you how you can take everything we've discussed today and put it into action for your future. There are 3 risks you may face, so your retirement saving strategy should consider addressing them. As we go through these, take a moment to think if your current approach is helping you overcome each one. First, you have structural risk. Second, you have market risk. And third, you have tax risk. Let me explain in more detail. Risk number 1 is structural risk. This is the risk you face because of the way you save. This is about what tools and what kind of help are available to you. Do you save in a 401k, a Roth? Do you have an employer match? Do you have other sources of income aside from your savings? Structural risk has changed dramatically for your generation. As Russ was saving for retirement, he was using something called the 3-legged stool approach. He receives income from 3 different sources represented by the legs of this stool. His pension guarantees a paycheck for life, he collects a nice-sized Social Security check, and he has personal savings from the 401k. So his employer, the government, and himself are holding up the stool, so to speak. Katie's situation is quite a bit different. She has no pension, so she won't have a guaranteed paycheck for life. She's not sure if Social Security will be there for her, and her 401k is supported solely by what she puts in herself. So as you can see, her stool's kind of broken compared to her dad's. So the 3-legged stool approach may not work for Katie. She needs something different. Let's take a look at what that may be. So it looks like Katie's retirement stool looks a little bit like a bar stool. And hopefully this presentation won't cause you to drive to one. But the sum of what I'm saying is that your retirement savings are pretty much in your own hands. You may not be able to depend on your employer. You may not be able to depend on the government. You have to save for yourself. And that's the structural risk that you face. Now let's take a look at market risk. Market risk is the risk you face based on the investment options you choose. Let's take a little time to review some recent market history. Between 2000 and 2002, you can see the S&P lost 43% of its value. If you were in technology, you may have lost even more. We recovered, and then we had the real estate bubble burst in 2008. So 2 times this century, the retirement savings you've accumulated have potentially been impacted by significant drops in the market. So even though the market's reached an all-time high recently, on average, the market only returned 4.2% a year during this period. Keep in mind, 4.2 is before you take out 1 to 2% a year for expenses or fees, and before you pay taxes on the gains. Now let's look at bonds, which some believe are safer. Interest rates have been falling since the early 80s, and we are now at historic lows. Now that's great if you're buying a home, but this is really hard on savers. And the Federal Reserve Chairman has said repeatedly that she plans to keep interest rates relatively low for the foreseeable future. So here's the takeaway. If you're in a 401k, there's really nowhere to hide. You either have to accept a lot of risk or accept very low growth in your account. Now the third risk is tax risk. If you take only one thing away from today's discussion, I hope it's this. You have to account for taxes when you save for retirement. So remember Russ, He wanted to pay off his home, but when he took out $50,000, he only received $35,000 because he had to pay the tax first. So as Russ learned, it's not what you make, it's what you get to keep when you retire, and taxes play a huge role in that number. So let me explain the two tax structures you can save under. There's tax deferred and tax free. Tax deferred refers to accounts like your 401k, 403b, IRA, or your pension. In these accounts, you don't pay taxes now. The money grows, and you'll pay taxes when you take it out in the future. You'll pay tax on everything you put in and all the money you've grown in the account. On the other hand, tax-free savings accounts are the other way around. You pay your taxes today, that money grows, then when it's time to retire, you get to keep the whole check. This is how Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs work. I bring this up because it's a critical distinction. If you think about your tax risk, in the first scenario, you've pushed all the risk into the future. We don't know what your tax rate's going to be, and we don't know how much growth you'll actually have. Do you think taxes are going down in the future? Just asking. So now that Russ is retired, a tax bill has come due. Let's look at how much tax he's deferred and how much tax he may now have to pay as a result. Here's an example. Let's assume Russ saves $7,500 per year in his 401k for 30 years. He defers $2,500 in tax per year. That's a total of $75,000 in deferred taxes. Wow! Now that Russ is retired, it's time to pay up. If Russ withdraws $75,000 a year, he pays $25,000 in taxes. Over 15 years, he'll pay $375,000. He deferred $75,000, but ends up paying $375,000 in taxes. Does this make sense? So Katie wanted to flip the script. She wanted to pay $75,000 now and avoid $375,000 of taxes later. See, the decision of whether to save tax deferred or tax free is critically important to savers like you. So what can you do about it? So do you know what this is? It's Title 26 of the U.S. Tax Code. It's such a big title, they had to break it up into two books. This is the title you'll find Section 401k and 403b, but there's another section you may not be familiar with. In this section, you'll find a way to help address the structural risk in your 401k by providing flexibility. It'll help address market risks by enabling you to capture market growth and maintain protection when the market drops, and also help address tax risk by providing income tax-free income in retirement. So how is that possible? This is Title 26, Section 7702 of the U.S. Tax Code. When you save using the rules in Section 7702, you're just saving in a different part of the tax code than 401k. But there's some things you can do under this section that you cannot do under Section 401k, and that's why this section is so powerful. Anyone want to guess what Section 7702 is? Section 7702 provides for the tax-free savings nature in a specially designed life insurance policy. Yes, life insurance. Now wait, I know what you're thinking. I didn't want to watch a life insurance seminar. You know, lots of people think that at this point in the presentation, but they're really amazed to learn that life insurance can help them overcome all these risks. Let me show you how. Now, Section 7702 is a pretty old section. It's been around since the early 80s, but for years, this section wasn't very useful for retirement planning because many types of life insurance just are not made for accumulating retirement money. We had to wait for the right product to be created for Section 7702 to matter when it comes to retirement. A product whose purpose was to combine the death benefit protection of life insurance with the savings benefits of other products. That product is here, and it's called Index Universal Life. We recommend this product to our clients because it delivers three features very hard to find in other savings products. One is the power of indexing, two is tax-free access to your cash value, and three is a death benefit, which makes this plan self-completing. Let me explain each of these features in more detail. Let's look at the power of indexing. Indexing is how interest is credited to your account. It's a system that credits interest using the market as a barometer. In the year the market index rises, your interest will rise up to the cap. In a year the market index drops, the guaranteed interest rate is 0%. Your retirement assets are protected. Because of this, indexing forms a unique ratchet pattern where you can go up or stay level, but not down. So let's take a look at how indexing actually works. The chart shows 100,000 tracked from the beginning of 2000 to the end of 2013. The red line represents the total return of the S&P 500 index, including dividends. This is what people are usually referring to when they say the market. So as you can see, it was a bumpy ride, but over that 14-year period of time, your $100,000 beginning amount would be worth $186,428 for an average return of 4.2% a year. Now the green line represents the concept of indexing. For this example, we'll assume the floor is 0 and the current cap in place today is 13.5%, so we'll use that, and that is excluding dividends. So as you can see, when the market is down in 2000, the policy was credited 0. You know, those are actually happy years for our clients because their retirement savings didn't lose money. In 2003, when the market index began to rise, the index is credited with net positive growth. So not only did you keep what you put in, your money begins to grow again. In 2008, the index credited 0%. The next year immediately begins net positive growth. So at the end of 15 years, the $100,000 premium inside the IUL has grown to $274,799 for an average annual return of 7%. Now let's talk about some of the features allowed in Section 7702. First is the tax-free nature of life insurance. In a properly structured IUL policy, you can generally access most of your funds income tax-free after about 2 years. That means you can get your money through withdrawals or loans without having to pay income tax on the distribution. That addresses your tax risk. There's another benefit too. The IRS is not involved when you take money out, and you can avoid tax on your annual growth because there are no 1099s. There's no 10% penalty tax if you take money out before 59 and a half. So if you need some extra money for your children's college education or you have an emergency, you aren't penalized like you are using 401k loan. IUL is flexible, so the amount you put in every year can vary from time to time. Finally, there's no required distribution at age 70 and a half like you have in a 401k or other qualified plan. And finally, let's talk about the main purpose of life insurance, to provide a death benefit. If Katie makes it to retirement, she can use that cash value of the policy for tax-free income. If she dies before retirement, the death benefit completes the plan and her family's protected. The death benefit is paid to your heirs income tax-free, less any outstanding loans. This helps ensure no matter what happens, your heirs will be protected and you will be prepared. This can help overcome your structural risk. So to summarize, we've overcome your structural risk by offering a flexible way to save and a death benefit to complete your plan. We've overcome your market risk by accessing dependable growth and protection of your principal. And we've overcome your tax risk by delivering tax-free income in retirement. So what does this look like for you? Well, if you'd like to see how Section 7702 can benefit you personally, we would like to make an offer. After we speak on the phone or in our office, we'll be able to put together a custom report especially for you. In addition, I'll help assess if you're currently prepared financially for retirement. I'll help estimate how much spendable money you might have in retirement based on your current savings level and rate of return. And finally, I'll fully explain the retirement savings strategy we've discussed today and how it can help reduce the risk we've talked about. At this point, you may also have a few questions. Well, I would love to answer your questions when we talk or meet. I can't wait to show you what kind of income IUL might be able to produce for you. It's an exciting moment for my clients when they see their numbers and everything clicks. Oh, I almost forgot. There's one more risk we need to discuss. It's called procrastination. You see, Emily was referred by Katie, and as a busy attorney, she liked the strategy, but said she just didn't feel like she could take the time to get started. It's a common response, but a very risky mindset, and here's why. Taking action now can make all the difference. If you put this decision off for just 5 years, you'll have to save 42% more every single year just to get the same benefits as if you started today. But what's even more sobering is this. If you delay your decision by just 1 year, you'll have to save 10% more every year from now until you retire just to get the same benefit as if you started today. So no matter what your age, taking action now can deliver a huge benefit in your future. So be sure to schedule a time to review your custom report today. Your future self will thank you. Well, we hope you enjoyed our presentation today on tax-free retirement strategies, and hopefully you've learned a little bit more about Section 7702 and what you can do to protect against the three financial risks we all face when saving for retirement. If you'd like to see a custom proposal on how it can work for you, please contact us through our website at robertscottfinancial.com or call us directly at 615-485-1768. Have a good day. Goodbye.